Now, if you remember, object mode has all sorts of different commands. You have, the H key to hide, you have the S key to scale, you have all sorts of different commands that you can use. And most of those commands carry over to edit mode. However, in edit mode, we have additional commands that we can't use in object mode, and let's discuss those. So I'm going to go into edit mode here. It doesn't matter if I'm in vertex or edge or face mode. If I press Control R, this will add in what we call a loop cut. So if I press Control R and click, I can move this loop cut somewhere else. And you're going to see this basically now separates these faces here into two separate faces. Now we have extra vertices, we have an extra edge. So that's what a loop cut is doing. We're adding extra geometry to the object here, so that way we have more control. Now another cool command we have is the extrude command. We can press E to extrude. See what I mean? I could extrude right here. It's going to create that extra edge there. And you're going to see as I use loop cuts and I combine that with extrusions, we can make some pretty cool objects. And honestly, even if you're brand new to Blender, you could make some pretty cool stuff in a pretty short amount of time. You could add in a loop cut, and then maybe you could take this edge and then grab it to move it back this way. And maybe you could press Control R to add in a loop cut over here. And then maybe you could take this face and extrude this on the x-axis. We're just using the basic commands here. And you can create some pretty cool stuff in, just a few seconds, even if you're not used to Blender. Now, the next tool we have is the inset tool. So if I select a face and I press the I key, this will inset the face. Now, if I have multiple faces I'm selecting and I press the I key, it's going to inset those together. If I press the I key again, it will inset those individually. Very, very powerful. Now, let's say I took one of these faces and I pressed the X key to delete the faces. You can just press X and we'll delete that face. If I ever want to fill this face back in, all I really need to do is select these four edges here and then press the F key to patch it back up. Pretty useful. The next tool we have here is the bevel tool. Now, unlike the bevel modifier, this is where we can actually get into the geometry and bevel certain things individually. So I could press Control B to bevel that. I could select this edge and press Control B, scroll my mouse up on the scroll wheel, and I could bevel that. So that's how you can bevel inside of edit mode. Now, another pretty cool tool I have to show you with a cylinder. So if I press Tab and I go into face mode here, and say I shift click and select a few of these faces here. Just hold shift to select those, and let's say I press E to extrude. Well, it's going to extrude those, but let's say I wanted to extrude those individually. In this case, what you can do is you can press Alt and then E, and then choose extrude individual faces. And now we're going to extrude those out individually. So that's a bit different than the regular extrude command. The next thing we have is we have the separation tool. So let's say I selected a face and I duplicated it. You're going to see they're still combined together because if I go into object mode, they're joined together. To unjoin those, we just select what we want to unjoin. In this case, this face. I'll press the P key and then I'll choose selection. And now if we go into object mode, we have two different objects now. So the P key is how you separate objects. And just like we have in object mode as well, we can press the H key to hide geometry. Then we can press the Alt H key to unhide geometry. And then two other things I want to mention is that we can merge geometry together. So let's say I took this face and I press the M key. What I can do is I can go to merge and then at center, and it will merge everything together. Same as if I took, these two edges here, I could press M at center. It's going to do a similar thing. Or maybe here, I could do M at center. I could also press M and then at last, which is going to be the last selected vertex. So this is the last one I selected. I press M at last, it's going to move over there. And then finally, we have the knife tool. So what I can do is I can go into edit mode and press the K key, and I can cut into the geometry. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about this tool right now because you could easily mess things up, but this tool does have its time in its place. So those are all the basic commands you need for edit mode. As we use these more in the course and actually do a project, these are going to become very, very intuitive. I would recommend watching this video one more time just to really ingrain those different commands.